So, no, I don't have anything to say. We're excited about 6 practices. Going to have number 7 today, and it's fun to get back in the gym again. But I do wear this mask the entire practice. I've worn it every second of every practice, and we'll continue to do that. So that's the world we live in right now.
Okay, Josh, then JB. Josh Graham, then JB Ricks.
Coach, thank you for spending the time. With the amount of freshmen that you're going to be relying on this year, in what ways do you think you're going to have to adapt your style to the personnel that you have?
You sort of cut out there. Did you say relying on freshmen? Is that what the question was, Josh?
You're relying on freshmen, but
okay.
In what ways are you going to have to adapt your style to the personnel?
Okay. Well, I think the way we've done it every year is try to go slower the more freshmen we have, try to accelerate it, make it much more competitive the older we are. We've had it, this is this 17 or 18?
18.
18, okay. So in 18 years at one spot, we've had everything you can possibly have. But I do believe when you have freshmen, you've got to go a little slower, push them, and then put your arm around them, push them, and then put your arm around them. We've had teams before that almost everyone coming back was a veteran, and we pushed those guys a little harder and did go faster. But you also have to be able to make your adjustments every day because you get information every day about what's going on.
JB, then Andrew.
Hey, Coach. JB Ricks here from Spectrum News 1. Thanks so much for taking out the time. Good to see you again. My question to you is, I heard Garrison mention during his availability how different things are right now. Like the players can't be in the locker room at the same time, and there's just so many adjustments that have had to be made. And then, you start thinking about the way things were before this pandemic hit, where we would have the group sessions in the locker rooms and just, stadiums, just 20,000 people and all that. From your perspective, are you optimistic that we will ever get back to that point? Or to be more specific, are you optimistic that we'll get back to that point of just the regular norm that we had before you retire?
I'm no plan on retiring tomorrow, so I don't know that it'll happen before tomorrow. But, I am optimistic, but I'll say this, JB, I don't know that we'll ever get back to the normal that we knew. And I think, because we don't know how effective the vaccine is going to be, we don't know how long it's going to be around. We don't know that 5 years from now that we'll look down the road and think of this virus as similar to what the flu has been. I don't know that information, but my gut feeling is that we're not going to get back to, quote, that normal for several years. I really don't see that. What we're doing, I think, is fantastic. I mean, guys, every coach on my staff wears a mask the entire practice. Some coaches are going to be uncomfortable wearing coaches during a game. I'm not one of those. I'm going to wear a mask during a game. And so to me, it's the adjustments that we have to make by being more intelligent that we can have a safer world. I loved the old normal. I'm going to figure out a way to love this normal as well. Yes, the press conferences with all of you guys here, I bet you it seems to go smoother and I would be out of here quicker, so I would like that part as well. But that's not the world we're in right now. But I think we'll have college basketball. I don't know how many people, if any, will be in the stands to see it. That's not up to me. It's up to the local health departments. I believe we'll have a year of college basketball that people will enjoy. I loved watching the World Series game last night. I watched almost 6 full innings of the World Series game, and neither one of the teams were the Yankees, so it's something that I still enjoy doing. But I don't think that we're going to get back to where we were just last year in the next 5 or 6 months. No, I don't believe that.
Andrew Jones, followed by Deanna King.
Hey, Coach, Andrew said that you're still ticked off about last year and you constantly remind them about that. How much fuel can you get from that with this group?
We'll find out, Andrew, and I do remind them because you just think 6 games we lost where the other team had the last shot and they made all 6. 3 games we lost where we didn't get a box out, and nobody in the history of college basketball has emphasized boxing out more than I do. So when we have 2 possessions in a row in practice last Friday when we don't box out, you darn right, I went absolutely stone dead crazy, and they better expect that until they change their behavior.
Are you pleased in any way with how the returning guys have responded to that?
Yeah, but I'm really, frankly, my dear, I don't care. I mean, it really is. I mean, we're the ones that screwed it up, and so, you know, if one of those guys was involved in a no box out and they get the ball and score, you ought to remember that the rest of your life. I remember it every day, so I'm not against bringing those things up if it's because of mistakes. I don't walk out on practice and say, okay, guys, we stunk last year, so let's get better today. That's not what happens. But if we have the same type of behavior that hurt us last year, you're darn right I'm going to bring it up to them. And if I see them when they're 78 years old, I may still remind them of one of those box outs they missed.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We got a lot of hands up, so keep your questions short, quick, please. Thank you. Deanna, then Brian Keys.
Coach, recruiting-wise, we know you like to go to the gyms and watch recruits. How has this changed your recruiting techniques during this pandemic?
It's not made it very comfortable for me. I always have been more comfortable going to see people in person. I don't mind going to see a kid 9 times, 7 times, 5 times, whatever. I'd much rather drive to the airport about 30 minutes, get on a plane, fly 2 hours, get out, drive 30 minutes to a gym and watch a kid shoot 15 free throws and then repeat everything. It's the way I've always recruited. It's a more personal approach, and so this has been much more difficult for us.
Brian, then Isaac.
Roy, last year you had Garrison playing a fair amount of the 5 when Armando was on the bench. What do you anticipate that to look like this season? Will he be sticking to the 4 mostly?
It's too early to say. I mean, we got 2 big freshmen in Walker Kessler and Dayron Sharp. They're bigger. When they're in the game with Garrison, they would be 5. Armando's bigger. When he's in the game with Garrison, he would be a 5. So about the only way that Garrison would end up being the 5 is if any of those 3 guys were not in the game. But we're at 6 practices and way too early that we're thinking about lineups right now.
Isaac, then Aaron Beard.
Coach, thanks so much for your time today. This time last year, you said that the biggest thing heading into the year is that the team was going to struggle scoring. And I think a lot of people just assumed that was coach speak because Carolina does nothing but score. How do you feel heading into this year?
Well, if I tell you something, you ought to take it to the bank because I'm going to tell you the freaking truth. And so that we did have trouble scoring last year. Right now, again, we're only 6 practices in. And, guys, we didn't play pickup in the fall against the NBA guys and get information from them about who's playing great and who's not. But I think we'll rebound the basketball this year like North Carolina teams usually rebound the basketball better than last year. And I'm hopeful that the ball will go in the basket a heck of a lot more, and I'll give you a better evaluation of that after a couple more weeks.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Aaron, then Greg Barnes.
Hey, Roy, good to see you again. You sounded pretty optimistic when you were talking about the things that you think there'll be college basketball and a lot of things that people will enjoy. A lot of the sports we've seen so far have been baseball, football, outdoor sports. The NBA obviously did it in a bubble, but I'm curious if you have any trepidation or worry, I guess in the back of your mind, concern about playing an indoor sport, maybe the risk being a little bit different in that regard.
Well, I do think when you talk to the scientists, the doctors, they have more concerned about anything that goes on inside. And so, again, that's the reason I'll be wearing this mask, and it doesn't bother me in the least. I think we have to follow what the doctors and the scientists tell us, and I'm not a guy that is going to flout those kind of things and act like I'm stupid and not wear a mask. And so we do have a different situation by being indoors. We've already laid out what our bench is going to look like. There's people going to be separated. But I've never really had a problem with people being able to hear me when I want to be heard, so I'm not worried about that separation. But I think we'll try to be as intelligent as we can possibly be and realize that some mistakes are probably going to happen.
I can attest to that. Greg, then David Teal.
Hey, Roy. Leaky's been injured, really, dealt with injuries throughout his career. How does he look now, and kind of what does a healthy Leaky provide for you this year?
Well, a healthy Leaky Black makes us a heck of a lot better basketball team, and that's what we need. And you're right, he hasn't really been healthy for long stretches ever since he got here. we're into practice 6 days, as I said. I think today's the 7th. It could have been 7th. No, I'm pretty sure today's the 7th. But we need him to be healthy. He and Garrison and Armando and Andrew Playtech, they all played significant minutes last year, and they've got to be better. And we need them to make fewer mistakes, make more of the positive plays. But when Leaky is healthy, and what I've seen so far in our practice situation, and we've been careful with him in practice, when he's healthy, he is a big-time player, and that's what we really need him to be.
David Teal, then Kiera.
Roy, you mentioned rebounding earlier. Armando averaged about 8 and 24 minutes a game last season as a freshman. How would you evaluate his first year and what you have seen thus far?
Rebounding-wise, he was okay last year. The biggest problem he had was finishing plays around the basket and staying out of foul trouble and staying out of the little nagging injuries. He's got to finish plays around the goal, and he's doing that much better than he is this year. With he and Garrison and Dayron and Walker Kessler and Walker Miller, there's some competition going on in practice every day, and I think he's better. And he needs to be better. When you go from freshman to sophomore, a lot of times that's a big-time jump, and we need Armando to do that. And it's competitive around that rim right now, unlike what we've had the last couple of years.
Kiera, then Brendan.
Hey, Coach. Usually every year you have your person, the team member that always speaks for you when you're not there. I know you're only 6 practices in, but have you found your go-to guy yet?
Oh, there's no question in my mind Garrison is the guy that I talk to about the team and get him to respond what he thinks is best for the team. And he's the one, if I ask, okay, what do you think? Garrison is the first person that I ask. Garrison and Andrew are both seniors and have been through it all. So those, and Walker Miller, KJ and Ryan, I guess that's 5 guys that we have that are seniors. I think that's it. But all of those guys a little bit, but no question it's Garrison right now.
Brendan, then CL.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for taking the time. Good to see you again. Just wondering if you could provide us with an update on Anthony Harris's rehab and sort of when he is fully healthy and ready to go, what you foresee his role being in the backcourt mix.
Okay, he hasn't been released to be completely in practice. He's done some dummy things, meaning no competition, no one-on-one, no 5-on-5. But I think he's a few weeks away from being released. Last year he gave us enough to get us excited about what he could do and played those either 4 games or maybe his 5 games is all he played. He's a kid that comes up with the loose ball, comes up with the rebound, comes up with the steal, makes the shot that you don't think he's going to make, and so that would be helpful to us. But it'll be, and I do believe it's weeks, not months, before he'll be able to get into full practice.
So still to be determined if he'd be ready for the start of the season then?
Yeah.
Thank you.
CL, then Ross.
Hey, Coach. I was wondering if you could kind of tell me what kind of point guard you feel like Caleb Love is. We've seen you have guys who are kind of big scoring point guards. We've seen the pass first kind of guys. Where do you feel like Caleb falls in?
Well, if I were to just use those 2 categories, I would say he's a scoring point guard after 6 practices. But, guys, again, we didn't have any pickup games in the fall, and I usually get so much information from our NBA guys. And we didn't watch them play pickup in the fall. So for us, I don't have as much information about a kid as I might have after 6 practices, but he is a big-time scorer. He's an attacker. I do believe he looks to pass and understands that that's part of the role. But if I had to put him in a Kendall Marshall or a Ty Lawson category of being more aggressive scoring the ball, that's who he would be.
Thanks.
Ross and Ryan Wilcox.
Hey, Coach, I'm going to ask about the freshman, even though you haven't seen him that much, but is there anything that surprises you about one of the 6 scholarship freshmen so far?
Oh, I think there's 100 things that surprise us in a positive way and in a negative way, too. When freshmen first start practice, you think, God almighty, he can't do that, or he doesn't know how to do this, or you have that. And then you also have something that you'll say, oh, boy, he may be a little better than we thought. But that's a question I could talk about each one of them for the next 5 minutes. But I think they're all working hard. We need them to stay healthy and not miss any time right now is the biggest thing. I think that one of the things the freshmen are bringing us are two things. One, the big guys can get to the board and rebound the ball and defend around the rim and score. And then I think our perimeter players can score too. And needless to say, the way we had a difficult time putting the ball in the basket last year, something we cannot repeat.
We have 5 questions left. Ryan, then Jasmine, Greg Hall, Art Chansky, and Alyssa Ray. Those are the 5. Ryan, then Jasmine.
Coach, you talked about the mistakes the guys were making last season. The players talked about it, but I'm curious, what sort of positives you think you guys can take from last year and use to build on this year?
The positive is how pissed off it made me all summer. And our guys didn't enjoy it. I used that word my wife doesn't like me to use, but I'm hungry. I did not enjoy that. It's not something that was fun. So I'm hopeful that the hunger and the motivation, our players will feel it the same way. But we have great kids, and it was not a fun year for us. It was not a normal year that North Carolina has. It's the first losing season our entire staff had ever had, and so for us it was not something enjoyable. But I've said 3 things. We had people getting hurt every time I turned around. I didn't even know who was going to practice till an hour before practice most of the time. I didn't do as good a job of coaching as I wanted to do, and they didn't do as good a job of following what we asked them to do. And so you can't just snap your fingers and change things, but you can focus on this year and try to do everything to the best of your ability every single possession.
Jasmine, then Gregory Hall.
Hey, thanks for taking the time. So my question kind of builds off of that, and it's more so about your approach to using last season as a tool for your team. So is it different the way you use it with the new guys versus the existing guys? And is there any particular reason for that? And then can you describe the sticker you have on your shirt?
Okay. Yeah, I think, you can't jump on the freshmen for no box out and be mad about last year because they weren't here. But the veterans, if I'm still saying the same things now that I said last year, that does upset me a great deal. And the freshmen, I tell them, you just have to live with it, but be intelligent. Learn that you don't want me screaming at you or anything like that, so don't make the same mistakes that other people are making. And but come on now. We've had 7 practices, and I've only gone crazy one time in 7 practices. It's not like I get out there and say, okay, everybody on the end line, remember last year. Okay, everybody shoot 1 free throw, remember last year. Everybody go to the bathroom, let's remember last year. I mean, that's not what it is. It's how well you do in practice every day. And I'm motivated because I did not enjoy it, and I think our returning players are motivated because they didn't enjoy it also. And thank you for noticing it says, no bull, I voted. Our house is in Durham County, and I've already voted this morning and turned in my wife's absentee ballot, and so I'm proud of the fact that I've already been out and voted, and I hope everybody gets to.
Greg Hall, then Art.
Sorry. Hey, Roy, I saw Kobe White was at practice. I was curious how the young fared against him.
Well, it was an eye-opener for them about how hard he attacked the basket, and I told them that's what I wanted those guys to learn. Caleb and RJ particularly, it's hard to guard Kobe. All right, so that's what I want the feeling the other team has about you two guys is how hard you attack the basket. And, Kobe's been tested just like our guys have been tested, and it's been fantastic to have him working out in practice. And we've had that in the past with some of our veteran guys coming back, and it's been fantastic for us.
Last 2, Art, then Alyssa.
Hey, Roy. I know you watch a lot of college football, and the coaches have had mixed reviews about how they're handling it in different leagues and so forth.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about what the procedure, the protocols are going to be that at this point from the ACC and the differences that have been articulated about playing indoors, going to a tournament like in Asheville and so forth, where there are going to be a lot of people around, and how your staff is handling all the changes they have to make and those kinds of plans.
It's been very unusual to say the least. The worst thing is I can't give you an answer because it'll change by next Monday, and then that will change by the following Monday. I don't think we have any idea if we're going to have fans. I know that when we travel, we're going to have just our own little party and not have anybody else traveling with us. I know that on the court, when I'm talking to the kids, we've spread the chairs out. I know that our bench area is going to be spread out during the game. I know that we've talked about testing 3 times a week, and I was on a call last week. Now we're starting to talk about see if it's possible for do daily testing. And so things are changing. There's no question that there'll be some trips that we might be on a charter, and it will not be anybody except our actual team. There'll be no radio, no doctors, no Indian chiefs, no policemen, no firemen, anything whatsoever. We're trying to have our own little bubble. I know that we've talked to the people in Asheville, and we've talked about creating a bubble there for that tournament, and I think it'll be very strict, and I'm very happy about it being very strict. So, but our world will be changing. If you and I talk again 2 weeks from now, I may give you a completely different scenario.
One follow-up, Roy.
Okay.
One follow-up. The football coaches said that they talked a lot to each other before the protocols were set on. Have you talked to among the ACC coaches, and have you all decided to do anything together? If you're all going to wear masks, that kind of stuff.
Well, Art, we had a conference call on Wednesday every week for 188 weeks this summer, it seemed like. I mean, we're talking every time I turn around, we have another ACC head coaches call. Again, the ACC protocols, they're going to change a little bit every day. But I'm going to wear a mask, period, the end. I don't care what anybody else does. Well, I care, but I know I can only control myself. I'm going to wear a mask. And we have had conversations about testing. We've had conversations about a chip in your practice gear. We've had conversations of how we travel. We've had conversations of your pro guys coming in. Are you going to allow them to be in your gym, or do they have to go in another gym? I mean, we really have Wednesday almost every single week the whole summer we talked.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Last question, Alyssa.
Coach, what was your reaction to the Maui Invitational being moved to Asheville, and what are the benefits of opening up in a tournament like that?
Well, the benefits of opening up in the tournament is the competition. There's no question about that. And, I'm trying to decide, okay, who do I want to play? And I couldn't come up with anybody that I wanted to play. It was it wasn't Art Chansky and Aaron Beard and 3 other people. I had that choice. That would be who I would have taken. But so the tournament, it'll be an evaluation for you quickly, and sometimes it's an evaluation that is not a positive. But we're going to have experience. We'll have experiences there that will help us get prepared for the rest of the season. When I first heard that Asheville was a choice, I was surprised. I think the people there did a great job of selling to the Maui people and the sponsors that they've run the Southern Conference tournament and maybe even another tournament as well. Everybody thinks that I had something to do with it. I never made one single phone call, and I never took one single phone call. And I didn't know until probably 48 hours before it was announced that it was going to be Asheville. But I think they're talking right now. Clint Waltney, our assistant AD, was on a call yesterday with information, and I think they're trying their best to make it a very tight bubble that they keep everybody in. And if we've got to go somewhere, I don't mind going to Asheville. That's home, so that's the only benefit. They even have a room at the Grove Park. It's got my name on it. I'm wondering if they'll give me my own room.
Coach, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody's patience at the beginning as we worked through a few technical issues. I think we got in almost 60 questions in the hour, so really appreciate that.